You got Original Lone Wolf coming at y'all. Look, I'm gonna try to make this video kind of brief, just because I hadn't intended on making a video, so I don't want this. I'm going to make this too long, but I want you guys to know up front in the beginning that this video here is one of those examples of when y'all be hearing me tell you that I be trying to point this stuff out to y'all the minute I see it. So the stuff that y'all hear me talk about in these videos don't just come across as a rant, right? Which I know in most cases they don't, because I like to show y'all stuff. Very rarely do you all ever see my face. Just because I'm too busy showing you things like via a screen share, not because I got an issue with showing my face. You know what I'm saying? So I know y'all probably don't think it's a rant anyway, but I do rant sometime. What you guys are looking at on screen real quick, man, I want to go into the right to travel. That's what this video is going to be about. This is a video that I got that just popped up in my feed. As always, where on the title is saying stop paying the mile tax, it's illegal. Once again, California then came out with some shit where they trying to charge a motherfucker to travel per mile. And I think in this little segment we're going to hear, I think it's 3 cents per mile to travel in your own vehicle. Whether if it's gasoline powered, electric, hybrid, or motorcycle. Like, these motherfuckers in Cali is insane. I don't see how these people putting up with this shit out there. I really and truly don't, man. At least like with the gun ban and all this other stuff that they did here in Illinois. When they finally put the ban in place and you had to register these firearms and all that, at least it's only like 1% of the people in the whole state registered, right? So that right there is a clear example of the state of Illinois. The people said, fuck you, we ain't doing it. But needless to say, I don't know what's going on in California and why these people just allow these people to do this shit. But I want y'all to listen to this, and we're going to have a conversation real briefly about the right to travel. All right, listen to this.
Taxing your vehicle by the mile is illegal. Don't pay the tax. Did you know that it's illegal to charge drivers of vehicles by the mile? It's actually unconstitutional. And that hasn't stopped many states from moving forward and enacting these laws that are basically taxing you for driving on the roads and taking taxpayer dollars. How did all this come into play? And here is the reason you should not pay the tax. I'll explain, but first I want to remind you to like this video and subscribe to our channel to keep you updated on what's going on in the automotive world. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, SEC 13002, for those of you that are following, contain provisions which implement a federal per mile user fee on drivers of passenger vehicles and requires car makers to build in driver monitoring technology. How will the government check your mileage? It's pretty easy. Smartphones know where you are and how fast you drive. And these phones also listen to you, as we all know. I know what you're thinking. Our government and the corporations are legally spying on Americans, and that has to stop. Now, let's get back to...
Well, one thing that should be understood is that the governments and these corporations are synonymous. They're the same. All right? And we know this by way of 28 USC 3002 subsection 15A. They tell you that the United States is a federal corporation. A corporation is a corporation is a corporation is a corporation. It doesn't matter if you run a small business out of your basement or out of your garage, or if you go into a company that has 25,000 employees. A business is a business. It don't change that. So that's the first thing that people need to understand, is that the government and the corporations are the same. Hence the reason for why you hear people say fake ass government. Because in reality, they're not a government, they're a corporation.
Mileage tax. States would be able to track odometers in all vehicles that are registered in California because Governor Gavin Newsom wants to charge Californians 3 cents for each mile driven. So he's going to be tracking you. And this new rule is for gas and electric cars. That's both. So you're going to pay double if you own a gasoline powered vehicle, and you'll pay even more if you get an EV because they're going to tax that too. Now
something else to keep in mind, guys. We know that by registering your car, it belongs to them. They own it, right? Or at least allegedly, right? Because if you know the things that I know, even if you have your car registered, there's still something you can do about it if they take it. They take it, they impound it, whatever. There's no crime attached to it. You got to remember, taking your car because you don't have a driver's license is not a crime. So that means taking your car because you don't have a license, that means there's no crime attached to it. By law, whether if it's on a state or federal level, the only way policy officers of any kind can take your property, whether if it's an automobile, a laptop, cell phone, or whatever, as if it has been linked to a crime, that they have bona fide evidence to show that this is why they took it. And you having your car taken because you don't have a driver's license is not a crime. Okay? So keep that in mind.
Also wants to place these GPS odometers on motorcycles so there's no escape. Anything with a motor is going to have an odometer reading on it. He claims to replace the by the mile fee program that he calls California road charge fees, and that California would remove the gasoline tax. Don't hold your breath, because we know the truth. It is stated that these new tracking devices will know when you leave California, at which point you will stop being charged for each mile you drive outside of California. I don't know if that's going to be true, because we know California. They're going to tax you no matter where you drive. Now, I stated that you should not pay a by-the-mile fee in any state.
Now, the other thing that I want to mention, I actually left this out the last time. They don't help you pay for this vehicle. They don't keep up with any of your maintenance, your insurance, etc. They don't do any of these things for you. Okay? But yeah, somehow or another, you're supposed to be inherently under their rule. Right? Now, again, as I said, we know that registering your vehicle in the state that you in is what gives them this authority. We know that. But again, it's all by way of fraud. Right? Because number one, most people don't realize it's a contract that they're entering into, which means they don't know that they don't have to do it. Okay? And then the second thing is you have a right to travel freely, unrestricted. Most people don't know this. They look at traffic stops as breaking the law. They'll even use verbiage like violation, a traffic violation. They'll use verbiage like that and people still don't pick up on it. Well, if it's a traffic violation, but yet that person think they broke the law, why didn't they just tell them it was a traffic law? So here's what they do. They'll have their conversation. They'll give their lingo and they'll say, traffic violation, right? They may say it twice, maximum. They'll say it at least once, but they'll say it. Sometimes they'll say it up to 2 times. After that, it'll be traffic law. Traffic laws. They broke traffic laws. And it's like, well, wait a minute. In the very beginning, you said it was a traffic violation. Now it's a traffic law throughout the rest of the segment. Well, that's what they do to manipulate the minds of the people whose eyes and ears are not trained. It's no different than when you get in the Bible, right? Genesis chapter 1, they talk about God did this and God created this and God said, let there be this and God said, let there be that, right? And then from chapter 2 on beyond, it says Lord God. And it's like, okay, well, who the fuck is this Lord God person? What is this about? And then you look up, you start to research the definition of the word Lord, right? Just the word Lord, and it's like, oh, okay. And then you start to research the word God in terms of what that term really means, because it's really just a term. And you start to look up what that means, and then you put it with Lord, and it's like, oh, okay. Now I see why Genesis chapter 2 and beyond, it was Lord God, and in chapter 1, it was God. Now I get it. So, it's stuff like that. It's little lingo and language and stuff that they do like that to manipulate the minds of the people. This is the reason for why you have to know your rights. Like how I said, even if your car is registered, because of the fraud that is involved, there is something you can do about it if your car is registered. Yes, the fuck there is. Trust me. Just take my word for it. Yes, it is. This is the reason for why I ride around now with no driver's license. I ain't worried about these motherfuckers pulling me over. I tell them all the time, take the car. I told y'all about the situation that happened when I went over my homie crib on the west side, and he witnessed what the police did to me. Some fucking road pirates slid down on me while I'm letting him in my car, and they talking about you parked in front of a bus stop, and it's like, no the fuck I'm not. My homie live right here. I'm not. The fuck, I don't give a fuck about this bus stop. My homie live right here. He lived above a storefront on Division Avenue, like right off of Pulaski. And it's like it's a main road. Division is a main road, 2-lane road in both directions, so, and still room enough to park on both sides of the streets. It's like, I don't give a fuck about this bus stop. My homie live right here. He live right above the storefront. Fuck you and this bus stop. And they all this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to tow your car and blah, blah, blah. My homie will tell you, sitting right there in the driver's seat. I told that motherfucker, I said, man, the minute the city get here and hook this car, you just paid for it. I tell you that here and now. That was back when I had a 2014 Acura TL with the all-wheel drive. That's back when I had that car. It was like, the minute they get here, bro, the minute the city of Chicago get here, bro, I swear to God, the minute they hook this car, you just signed for it. Motherfuckers was looking at me like I was crazy. I made them niggas get their supervisor that night and everything. My homie was sitting right there on the passenger side. Straight up. So even in those situations with the car being registered and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other, you know what I'm saying? There's still shit you could do about it. They locked me up that night. They left my car sitting right in front of my motherfucking homie crib. I had to go to court for tickets and for the bullshit misdemeanor, which I think it was, what they charged me? It was some pussy shit. Interfering with a police investigation. You know, some little pussy petty shit like that. These motherfuckers didn't come to neither court for this. They didn't come to traffic court, because y'all know I get traffic tickets thrown out all day long and shit. I don't even fucking worry. That shit is a joke to me. But they didn't even come to the court on, I had to go to court on, I had to go to court out west. That fucking courthouse connected to the police station, Grandin Central. I had to go over on Grandin Central for the little pussy-ass misdemeanor that they charged me with. Them motherfuckers didn't come to neither court, traffic court or that court, misdemeanor court. The court for the misdemeanor, I mean. So when I tell you have a right to travel freely, that's exactly what I mean. And I want to play a little bit more of this so you can understand what she's finna talk about in terms of tying the laws into how they can't do this. All right, so let's go back. Let's play a little more of this.
And here's why. Let's look into the legal case and the scope of the decision that states this. It's called Crandall versus Nevada. It's a Supreme Court ruling.
Now, take note of that. Crandall versus Nevada. Because a lot of these cases and stuff you guys can look up on your own. Like I told y'all, I have so much information in my arsenal because when I come across information that I think is pertinent, I go research it to see for myself, like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then I maintain and retain that information. So that's how I get a lot of this shit. So Crandall versus Nevada, keep that in mind. Supreme Court case.
That states you cannot impose taxes or regulations that burden the right of individuals to travel freely, including the modes of travel they use. The case specifically addressed in Nevada's attempt to tax individuals leaving the state are various means of conveyance, such as stagecoaches and steamboats. That may be back then, but it still applies today. Fundamental.
And that is 100% correct. It's a coach. It could be a horse, a buggy, a bicycle. It could be anything that can be used for the purpose of travel. Notice I didn't say for the purpose of making money on the road. You know, you're a truck driver. You know what I'm saying? Which is one of the best examples you can use. Somebody who's a truck driver or somebody who does taxi work or Uber, you are using those words specifically to make money. They have a right to tax you and regulate you. Why? Because those roads are for the public. That's what they're for. They'll let you use them, but they're for the public first. First and foremost, it's for them to be able to travel. That's why they tax you. And in reality, we supposed to be in control of that. You know, the American Indian, the real niggas, we supposed to be in control of that. But nonetheless, that's why they do it.
Right to travel is part of this. The court affirmed that the right to travel freely is a fundamental right protected under the Privileges and Immunities Clause. And
now she bringing up the 14th Amendment as to where the judge is citing this from, but no, this comes from the Constitution, not some bullshit ass 14th Amendment. Because in reality, I really don't respect shit past 10. I think it's the Bill of Rights, Article 10, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's like the only one I really respect. All these other amendments and shit they didn't add it to this, I don't respect none of that shit. Because a lot of it, they've intertwined their corporate executive order type bullshit within these amendments. If you tear apart the 13th and the 14th Amendment, it's 100% bullshit, especially to the original men and women of this hemisphere. It's 100% bullshit when you tear apart the 13th and the 14th fucking amendment. It's like I tell people, The 13th and the 14th Amendment did not make us U.S. citizens. You know why? Because a U.S. citizen has a right to vote. If we were goddamn U.S. citizens by way of the 13th and 14th Amendment, there's no fucking way in hell that our people would have had to orchestrate and organize the 1964 Voters' Rights Act. We wouldn't have had to orchestrate that shit in 1965 if the 13th and the 14th Amendment made us U.S. citizens. So anybody who tell you that you are a U.S. citizen by way of the 14th Amendment, you tell them that is 100% malarkey. Just like when they tell you there's no difference between traveling and driving, you tell them that they out of their damn mind. Yes, it is. Driving is not a fundamental right, because when you drive, you're using the roads to make money. That's a privilege. Only the people can use those roads in any shape, form, or fashion that they want, as long as in the use of travel. So, for example, you can go and get a truck and have stuff in the back of that truck. And as long as you just taking that stuff in the back of the truck from point A to point B without using that road to make money to do it, you can have that truck and be on the road and be operating it without a license. All right? Keep that in mind.
Article 4 and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. So there you go. It's unconstitutional. This right encompasses both interstate and intrastate travel and includes the freedom to choose the mode of travel. State taxation is also prohibited per Crandall versus Nevada, where it established that states do not have the authority to tax the right to travel or specific modes of travel that individuals use. The court's reasoning was grounded in the principle that such taxes would infringe upon a fundamental right and exceed the permission scope of the state taxation powers. Sorry to be technical.
Now, I'm going to end this video by saying this. Not to mention what she just got through talking about is 100% true. Not only that, they don't have no right to tax the original men and women and children of this land in any shape, form, or fashion. It's Original Lone Wolf, man. I'm out.